Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Several weeks ago, the Ukrainian knife manufacturer, BPS Knives, contacted me with the idea of presenting 2 of their knives and allowing me to choose them. I'd already heard of this company, which sells inexpensive outdoor knives. So it was a good opportunity to find out what they were all about. As a preamble, I'd like to make a small clarification. Although I receive knives from manufacturers, this in no way prevents me from presenting them objectively without claiming to be able to evaluate them reliably and, above all, scientifically. This would require machines costing tens of thousands of dollars. So I reviewed the BPS Knives website and chose 2 models. BPS specializes mainly in knives with wooden handles, so I inevitably opted for a knife with a handle formed from this beautiful natural material. But I was also tempted by a model with a plastic handle. As far as steels are concerned, BPS essentially offers entry-level stainless steel and carbon alloys. I preferred stainless steel models. BPS also sent me a kit of hunting knives designed by Frenchman Fred Perrin. On the BPS Knives website, there's a lot to choose from, and in fact, I didn't immediately realize that I'd chosen 2 knives that were quite similar, apart from a few details. Let's start with one of their rare polymer-handled models, the Raven SSH, priced at $45. BPS presents it as a survival knife that can be used for all bushcraft activities. The handle is made of acrylonitrile butadiene styrene plastic, or ABS for short. It's a thermoplastic polymer that can be molded or injected and is both impact-resistant and fairly rigid. It can be found in the form of wire coils for 3D printers. ABS is the material from which the famous bricks of Lego toys are made. It can also be used to manufacture small boats, and it's also what forms waterproof, impact-resistant cases like those from the Pellicase brand. This Raven is a good size, 9.8 inches long with a 5.1-inch blade. This is in fact the ideal size for an outdoor knife intended for intensive use. 1 blade length is more than sufficient for multiple tasks on wood. Note that the blades of BPS knives are not wide, and I measured the Raven's blade to within 0.11 inches of the handle. When you have such a thin blade that will theoretically penetrate the material with ease, it's best to use solid steel. By solid, I mean break-resistant. And that's just as well, because most basic stainless steels are highly resilient thanks to their low carbon content. In this case, BPS uses 5Car14 MOV steel, which, as its name suggests, contains 0.5% carbon and 14% chromium, a little molybdenum, and a zest of vanadium. It's a good steel for this type of blade, and it's also easy to sharpen. The second knife is the HK6 SSH, which sells for around $40. It has the same dimensions, with one small difference. The blade is slightly wider, measured at 0.12 inch from the handle. The full-tang construction and saber-style grind are similar to those of the Raven. The big difference is the HK6's wooden handle. On the datasheet on their website, it is stated that the wood is a durable walnut, coated with Danish oil to provide a reliable water-repellent layer to protect the wood from moisture. I'm no expert in wood species, but I find the grain and color of this wood walnut very elegant, and it really gives the knife a nice rustic look. What's more, the black screws that hold the scales in place enhance the contrast. While the handles of the Raven and HK6 have the same shape, with undulations, well, I'd say indentations, under the handle, for positioning the fingers, the HK6's wooden handle is considerably wider. I prefer wide handles, as they distribute the pressure of the palm of the hand on the handle more evenly and limit the onset of pain. The grip is therefore pleasant, thanks to the ergonomics, even if I generally recommend wearing a glove. It allows more force to be applied, protects against scratches, blisters, etc. The plastic-handled Raven is slightly heavier, 5.7 ounces on my scale, 9.8 ounces in its Kydex case, despite a slightly thinner handle and blade. The HK6 on my scale reveals a weight of 5.6 ounces and 9.2 ounces in its leather sheath. By the way, I should mention that BPS leather sheaths are among the best available. These sheaths are comparable to those of Brisa or Cestrum knives, i.e. knives sold for 3 to 5 times more. BPS sheaths are made of thick, perfectly stitched leather. Very high quality. Leather has been used since prehistoric times and remains a noble natural material with remarkable properties, capable of rivaling many synthetic and composite materials. It's supple yet highly tear-resistant, treated to be rot-proof and flame-retardant. Leather is pleasant to the touch. There are many types of leather, varying in thickness, surface texture, suppleness, and resistance. It's also a particularly interesting subject. The leather used to make BPS cases is perfectly suited to the task. These cases are beautiful objects. The only small negative point on the hunting kit sheath is that I'm having a bit of trouble clipping on one of the knife-holding straps. But I think it's a matter of time before it softens up a bit. It's actually 2 sheaths that can be fixed together by overlapping them, so you can carry 2 knives at the same time. The Raven's Kydex sheath is also of good quality, but the retention is very tight and requires a lot of force to extract the knife. Care must be taken to avoid injury. The sheath features a Tech-Lock-type fastening system. It can be attached vertically to a belt or to the strap of a backpack. The holster features a small drainage hole for water evacuation. The Raven and HK6 are good outdoor knives, versatile, stylish, robust, and excellent value for money. The Hunter set is designed in partnership with Fred Perrine. It's original because of the 2 black-tinted leather sheaths that overlap and are removable. The knives are of full tang construction, with riveted Paduke wood scales forming the handle. I'm not a hunter, so I'm not too familiar with the use of these types of knives. They're obviously designed for butchering and slicing meat. In any case, the thin blade of the large knife easily cuts through wood. These knives are lightweight and particularly easy to handle. I love the Nessmuk-shaped blade of the large knife. It's very impressive, and the wide-fingered choil contributes to excellent grip and handling. The price of this kit is $114.5. The knives are handcrafted in the Ukraine in the context we know. The finish of these knives is good, although one may have a small mark. In fact, at this price, there may be some variability, and you can't expect meticulous quality control on every product. Slight imperfections are part of the authenticity of these products and contribute to their rustic character. We're talking about knives similar to those in the new Ashwood Mora range, priced 4 to 5 times higher. For me, the Mora range's price positioning is an aberration. Having said that, I haven't tested a knife from the Ashwood range, but given the specific features of these knives, what BPS is offering in terms of price and shape seems to me much more relevant and even original. I've put these knives through a few basting tests and crosscuts, which are best avoided if you don't want to risk damaging them. But then, BPS presents them as designed for these operations, so it was in order to see if they would stand up to classic bushcraft or survival tasks, and they do indeed seem to take a beating, which is to be expected given the steel that forms the blades of these knives. A simple, inexpensive steel quite comparable to X46 CR13 and 420HC. A tough, resilient stainless steel that resists breakage well, is easy to sharpen but dulls faster than the much harder high-end stainless steels. I've found that these rather soft steels require a cutting edge that's not too fine to avoid damage, and this seems to be the case with these BPS models thanks to their sharpness. I carried out my pipe test. In fact, I've come to realize that this is a very difficult test for many knives, as the crosscut and perpendicular cuts are very hard. Few blades can easily penetrate the polyester. On the other hand, when cutting at an angle, it's much more effective, no doubt. Because in addition to pushing the blade, you can also pull the hose. A double force is exerted. In conclusion, I must say that BPS knives are a wonderful discovery, and the models with wooden handles are particularly attractive. They are no less effective. This Ukrainian brand makes good outdoor knives, full tang with remarkable leather sheaths, accessible to as many people as possible. As always, I try to bring you as much information as possible on the knives and steels with as many angles of view on the knives as possible so that you can determine whether these models are of interest to you. Don't hesitate to like, comment, or even subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already done so. See you soon, and until then, be well.